Yo,
Yo, how are you, man?
I am great. How are you?
Great. That's a not often we get great in the house. What's
Hey,
making the day so great? Now you got to back that up.
well, let's see. It's Thursday. I was noticing your sweater. Is it cold there? It is hot here, dude. Like it's not really that hot, but
A
if
little
it's been
cold,
like,
a little autistic.
yeah,
Call me.
it's about 80 here, which is really not all that hot, but after it's been cold for so long, holy shit, dude, 80 feels uh, hot. Thank you, Jazzwiz. This is a shirt from 8-Bit Zombie. If you guys aren't following 8-Bit Zombie or don't know about 8-Bit Zombie, where you been? But I would suggest subscribe to his newsletter because he does sales all the time, and his stuff is like crazy cheap, dude. This was like $10, and he always sends like a gang load of stickers with him. He's just, that's a super cool account. If you're not following it, I'm sure everybody is. Everybody knows about Thrasher and get that Cubs head off your head. I'm sorry, I do like the hat. Um, Dude, are you super terrible? Are you a Southsider? I think you're a Southsider, man. Yeah, with a comment like that, take the Cubs hat off. You got to be a Southsider. Let me tell you a little story. I went to the A's Chicago White Sox game last weekend on Sunday. Extra innings. A's come up, hit a walk-off home run in the 10th against the White Sox. So, if you're a White Sox fan, sorry. Yeah, see, Sox fan. That's cool. I mean, I don't hate them. That's a little baseball talk there for you, Crumsy.
Say, and even admittedly, once we got to the socks, all I could think is like, I like socks. Finding a nice, comfy pair of socks is nice.
Hey, I like socks. Yeah, socks are good.
Yeah, good socks are great socks, man. I guess they hide all the chat there, dude. Von Fake, what's going on? Headcase Toys, what is up? Fucking slightly adrift. What is going on, dude? Super Terrible Toys, how are you, man? Super Terrible, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I felt a little bad. Your answer, when I saw you like it, and I noticed that all I said was 7. And then everybody else answered, I'm like, yeah, great answer. Oh, heck yeah, great picks. You, 7. When I saw you like that, and I looked back, I was like, bro, what a dick reply. You didn't have any juice in the fucking fridge for him? Come on. Samika, what's up? Hobo Toys, what's going on? If anybody hasn't seen it yet, Hobo Toys has laid down that pre-order for the Hobo News design they ended up making there. DT O'Keefe, what is going on? Eric Folker's pedals, dude. That new fucking piece you just grabbed from Pocket Salsa and Topher Toys. Did you see that thing?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Very, very fucking cool, man. That's a great combo right there, dude. The Pocket Salsa and Topher Toy. Topher Toy, dude. I mean, honestly, anything that dude, puts his hands on turns to fucking gold, in my opinion. I got a lot of pieces from him that he's just painted up, but dude, his custom paint work is super sick. But yeah, that figure, specifically that one that was posted, primo, very nice. One of one. Yeah, absolutely, dude. That's sick.
Gosh, dang it. Jasmine, Duke and McFart Sniffle, what is going on? Lynn's third Appleway, how you doing? Lynn, I don't know how you manage to catch these so often, dude. Aren't you supposed to, aren't you 12 hours, 13 hours difference? Real Sense Punk, what is going on, man? And I think there's the gang so far. For those who are somehow living under a rock, we got Jevaho Creations in today. It's going to be insane, man.
Yeah, dude, he's got some new stuff going on. And like you said in the post, man, it's just like total consistent. Like, you know what I mean? I know, actually, I don't know. I was going to say, but, how long it takes to make a figure from beginning to end with that quality, with a backer. But, he really kind of runs the gamut, dude, as far as scale goes. I mean, 5.5 obviously being where he fucking excels at. But I'm looking at his other stuff, dude, that's not 5.5. And it's all fucking great, dude. So he's just, and he's super good dude. So I fits right in.
I think that's what was actually that was taking me so long to get into the room tonight. Actually, was I was making sure I had tabs ready for their work outside of like the regular tabs for like other artists and stuff like that. And as you're scrolling, trying to get a timeline to make sure you get some from the beginning, some from like the new, some in the middle, you're just kind of going like, when the fuck did that drop? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, dude, right?
Because it's just been so, and everything is just top caliber, man.
Exactly, dude. And like, really, you could spend. I mean, we could scroll that for 3 hours and just go fuck, every time because that's. I mean, and that's not even to mention all the the lines and the that he's doing right now and the pre-orders and shit. I mean, it's fucking killing those too. So, um, I'm driving a forklift at work. At a kid.
That's commitment right there, man.
Here it is. Yeah,
Jeez.
in the trades. I like it.
That's
Cubs fan weird. You know what, man? You know who's a big Cubs fan is Vomiting Droids. So I'll support him. I also like the hat. It's just what it is, man.
all right. The next time Cubs come out of your mouth, it better be talking about cute little adorable fluffy bear cubs.
Sure. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was referring to.
Oh fuck! Actually,
So how you been, man?
And honestly, I'm not gonna go too into it, but dude, I had the thought this week that I can't help but just be kind of grateful, I suppose. Did you experiment much when you were a kid? Not sexually, but with like substances and things. Did you ever do that when you were younger?
Man, all the way up through high school, I was pretty hardcore about sports. You know what I mean? I dabbled a little bit. But then once I, got out of high school and found out that like college was like somewhat optional, it was fucking, it was a disaster, bro. Yes,
Fair.
to answer your question, but yeah, I mean,
So,
off the deep end, dude, for several years. I'm not proud of that, but
no, but
absolutely,
and you're also familiar with deja vu, right?
100%.
You ever heard of this shit called Jevaho?
I have never heard of that, dude.
All right. So it's deja vu's annoying cousin, basically. Instead of it being like, oh, I've seen this before, but I can't place it, it's I know I've seen this before, or no, so it's almost like an unfamiliarity, right? So it's almost kind of like I've been to this place 1,000 times and I know I should recognize it, but like I don't recognize this. This is weird. So luckily, I will say this week's been a little weird because left side lobe's been acting funny. But the other day, I was staring at my hands, having just like insane Jevaho going, are my hands swollen? Or do these just not seem like my hands? And all I could think was like, thank fuck I've done psychedelics before, or this would be pretty scary.
Yeah.
And today, I had to go and grab some documents, and as I'm going, I could tell like I was like probably gonna have a seizure. And as I'm walking, all I could think is like, homie, you've been more drunk and walked further than this before. You can do it. You can get where you're going and home again. You know what I mean? And all I could think is like, thank fuck I've abused shit. Because now that my brain's acting funky, that would be scary for somebody who's never done shit. But like,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I know this.
yeah. It's semi funny, dude, and I bet you get it all the time, man. Especially working at a dispo when you get the older crowd in there, right? And maybe they haven't like experimented with anything for a long time. Dude, I mean,
I think it was just like a year and a half ago. I was walking to a meeting. I got called to a meeting out of nowhere. I'm walking, and all of a sudden, I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck, this feels really weird. And then I remembered, oh, dude, you microdosed mush this morning, and you weren't expecting to go to it. So you come to roll with the punches, So the week's been real freaking weird and an odd week, but kind of fun. Some people pay for this.
yeah. Some people pay for this. DTO Keith says, I have to advocate for the homie Vomiting Droids is more of an old school Mets fan. Now that I didn't know. Interesting.
And
yeah, you guys are making me want to go change my fucking hat. God, haters in the room tonight. Holy shit. Where's Vomiting Droids when you need them?
I was gonna say, only because they're dropping Vomiting Droids, man. He brought up some great conversation topics in the DMs, and actually Alvarado nailed it in their comment as well that you had on the giveaway post today about how that dude's an observer and thinker, and spot fucking on, man. Absolutely, Vomiting Droids. That brain is always going with something, man. How have you been this week? What's up with you?
Oh, busy, dude. Busy, man. In like the work world, man, it's cold at 1 minute, and then 2 days later it's fucking scorching hot. So it's all over the place, man. Just been busy, kind of doing some things that I don't normally do because they're making some changes at work, which is just you know, you and I were talking the other day, man, just briefly. There's just really not enough hours in the day, man, to get everything done at work, and then plus you add in all the other cool stuff. So I don't know, man. Like on my personal account, dude, it's been a while since I posted, which is fucking lame. I really hate that, but like I said, man, it's just trying to squeeze it in, you know.
It's a whole other beast, man. And that's actually, you know what, and I was thinking about this earlier today, not just of Jevaho when I made that post, and I mentioned that like the dude not only is always creating, because let's be honest, it's very easy to come up with excuses. We both are talking about how like, there's just no fucking time in this week. And yet somehow amongst making all that insane work, the dude is still liking comments, commenting on people's it's the engagement, I suppose. And I couldn't help but notice it's like Rainbow Yawn got mentioned a couple times in our collab question for the giveaway, and the dude still takes the time and likes it and replies, and I'm thinking to myself, these cats have way too much fucking work on their plate, and way like if we think we get too many notifications, imagine having in the double digit Ks of followers. You're like, I don't know how the fuck they do it, man. Professional to a T,
Yeah.
through and through. Like when you want to talk about how somebody makes it, you're kind of like, well, because we see it in their behavior. They're consistent. They're fucking on the ball. Like they crush everything, even being a fan.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you want to grow your account like that, I think I got dude, it's a subject that comes up every week, man. You really have to be multidimensional as far as being an artist plus doing all this stuff on the back end to make that shit happen. So it's tough, man. I mean, you're right. And even just trying to like stay engaged on like a daily level. I was talking to Duke the other day, man, and we had like a really good conversation. First of all, this dude wrote me a note in the last piece that I got from him. I'm going to show tonight. That was touching to say the least, man. So thank you, Duke, for that again. But it was, you know, it kind of got to the point like, you know, what we were just talking about. You're trying to stay engaged every day and like trying to keep things fresh and new. And so it doesn't just become like this thing, right? And dude, there's been up and down times where it is kind of just a thing, and it just feels like a dread getting on IG, and it's like you just want to take a break, you know what I mean? But that's the cool thing about it is you kind of can take a break, but it's hard to take a break in this, right? Because it's fucking there's so much cool shit out there. It's like you come back and like if you're not on here for a week and you come back, you're like fucking hey, dude, like people been going off, and that's exciting, dude. That's what's I mean that's enough motivation. And then at the end of the day, it's like, who the fuck am I to complain, right? I got nothing to complain about. Like,
but and one, it's all relative, but and I don't think it's all complaining. You know, there's a pretty big. I was actually talking to DNS about this right beforehand. You know, there's a big difference about playing like the victim and just deciding like you're not going to do anything. You're not even going to look into trying to make it work. You're not going to try and make it work. You're not going to reach out for help or anything. There's this like locked into victim mentality, and then there's the like, all right, well, let's look for some tools and resources. And it's comical to kind of vent with a homie and make sure that like you're not maybe feel validated and the fact you're not crazy for feeling overwhelmed, and kind of bounce to the fact you're like, yeah, dude, same, and kind of talk to the homies about it. But then every week you show the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to quote unquote complain as long as like you keep the wheels going. You're not complaining and then just being like, somebody hug me and take the workload. Like,
yeah, and I think that's what it is, dude. I think it's just, and I think there's probably, I mean, we've talked to artists, you know, on the show, personally, in person, where, you know, you start hearing about the frustrations and shit like that. And I think that's natural, dude. I think you have to like complain at some points just to fucking get it out of the way and move on, you know. But like you said, dude, fucking keep coming back. You know, that's the key. You know, and I think for the most part, everybody comes back.
I think I mentioned it before, man. You gotta shake like a wet dog, but then you do the best damn robot dance the world has ever seen, right?
There you
That's just what you gotta do. You just gotta shake it off of it, and then just fucking keep fucking going, man. Because the mountain doesn't care, right?
Yeah, that's true, man. The shark wakes up on Monday and says, "I'm still a fucking shark, man. I don't give a fuck what day it is." You know.
What a weird episode tonight. 15 minutes. Is this Oprah? This is the first time Dr. Phil's on Oprah or something?
Well, you know what, dude? I mean, to be fair, you and I didn't talk at all before the show. I came in and it was like 30 seconds to go. So we have not talked very much besides just briefly over, briefly over IG. The ambient daylight in my room, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that is, man. I mean, it is still definitely fucking daylight here. I know for you guys on the East Coast, it's probably dark, but it's 6:15 here, man. It won't get dark here until probably after 8 tonight, my time.
Did you say ambient?
That's what it said. Yeah, that's what.
All right,
FBI
now we're gonna need an answer in the chat here. If you're an ambient or an ambient, we're gonna need to know.
I said ambient. I don't think I've ever. I might have said ambient.
I'm sorry, sir. I heard, je ne sais pas, c'est ambiant light. That's what I heard.
I definitely don't think I did that. If I did, I'm gonna go wash my mouth out with soap right now. Ambient is super useful. Okay, ambient. I always say ambient.
Hey, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What are you probably most excited to hear about with Jevaho tonight?
I don't know. I mean, I have a piece here that I just got from him, which is fucking great. Like everybody's gonna love that because it's, it got a really good response online, I think. But I don't know. I mean, I love having him on, dude, because it's like he just feels like one of the homies, dude. We chat a lot online, and it's, his stuff's just fucking great, dude. It's like you can't really get enough of an artist like that because it's just, scales all over the place. I do want to talk to him about these prototype 5.5 heads, dude. They are a grab bag of 5, and I think we may give away like 2 of them tonight. But I have no idea what they are, so maybe we'll open those up and take a look at them, put them all back in the bag, and then do 2 for the winner.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about that as well, actually.
Yeah.
And okay, we're gonna bring this up when they come in here in a minute, but like between the resin work, the fabric work, or the cloth goods, between the little skateboards they've been working on now. What else am I missing?
Well, like you said, dude, like on the Indian gods that he's doing right now, right? But the details on those are stupid. Not only it's like the soft goods, but then the details, the jewelry, like the accessories with it, they're just like, it's crazy, dude. Super good. So I would say that, plus they're on a super nice backer. It's like nothing to scoff at for sure.
Before I drag them in here, like, what is this shit? For any of you who don't know. It's like, this is kind of, yeah, man. And then of course I had to pull these guys up, and like you said, right down to the backers.
Man,
beadwork.
2 variants every time, dude. There's the solid and then the clear. He did that one with the first one as well. But yeah,
that's an interesting thing to point out. Actually, I didn't think about that. Like, especially even with the oh my goodness, can't think of his name right now, man. Tyson figure.
Yes.
Doubles.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
Should we pull them in here? You guys
anything
you want to talk about or brag about or?
No, we got the pieces to show later on, which is going to be cool. We got a couple giveaways coming up, so yeah, dude, it's gonna be fun.
Jevo, you good?
Good to go.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Excellent. For those at home, do you feel like giving a little rundown introduction of who you are, what you do?
I'm Jevaho Creations, located in Belgium. I make toys. I started the 5.5. Now I'm trying to dab into some other sizes and forms. But 5.5 is still the main thing I do, and the thing I love the most to do. Yeah, that's about it, I think.
Is there a reason that you find 5.5 probably like your favorite to do?
Yes, the main reason was it was a form of figure I didn't understand very well. Because I started when I was a kid. I made some Spider-Man toys, some Star Wars customs, and those were all very understandable in how the joints work. I really hate paint rubs. I met with some customizers who did 5.5. I never understood how they could get those rubber band legs without rubbing the paint, and they had that spring feature in the torso and stuff like that. That was very inspiring, and I didn't understand how they did that. Customize a figure that stayed durable without losing the articulation in the complete figure, because you can, to avoid the paint rub on the legs, you can easily just glue them in place and be done with it. But there were guys who were doing this, just replacing the rubber band, keeping the articulation, but they didn't get the paint rub, and that was because I knew how hard it was to just repaint a figure in a 3.75 style, but still get those paint rubs. And the Master of the Universe figures, that was something ominous for me. I wanted to know how, and that's why I started dabbling into them and researching, talking to people, and perfecting my skill. Let's say it like that. Yeah.
And when would you have probably started at like that particular moment into the 5.5s? When would that have been probably around?
I think it was around 2017. We were doing conventions. We were doing lightsabers and selling those at conventions together with a friend of mine. And at one of those conventions, I met with the customizer who had a very little booth at the toy show. And I started telling him I used to collect them as a kid and still had my collection, and was wondering how he was doing it. And at that point, the guy showed me some of his head casts. The only parts he cast at that point were heads. So that was very inspiring for me. And I had done some casting, but not with pressure parts, just some mixing up and having it cure without any other machinery, and always struggling with the air bubbles. It's in certain parts, and that's why I didn't really do a lot of casting at that point. But after talking with that guy, I really started looking into it more and more, and yeah, one thing led to another.
Who was that you said that you talked to?
I think he goes by the name of Motu Mulder.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
He's a guy from Holland. He's a Dutch artist, but he's mostly doing Brave Star figures now at the moment. He started out Master of the Universe customizer, but now he does amazing work when it comes to Brave Star figures. Those are insane.
Yeah. I know last time you were on the show, man, we were talking about your first, like when you got into start doing 5.5s, and one of the first artists that you hooked up with was Frankenlander, because he's out where you're at as well.
Yes.
How did that, we didn't really dive into that story too much, man. How did that whole thing come about? And are you still doing work with him currently, or talking to him on a regular basis?
How did we meet? That was via Instagram. I made a figure, just a one-off, of the character Kludde from a Dutch movie, from a Belgian movie. I think I talked about him last time as well. And because he is Belgian as well, he remembered the character from his childhood, and he was already working and doing 5.5 customs. So he suggested I send over the figure to him so he can maybe do some molding and some casting of the figure I made. We decided to start all over and make a figure in parts and pieces that would be that it would make it easier for him to make the arms and the legs and stuff like that. And it worked out pretty good. So we did a very small run. And that's actually the first 5.5 figure I've done and make multiples of. So he did all the casting work. I did sculpting. I did the painting. And after that, we stayed in contact, and we exchanged a lot of information. I helped him modify parts he needed to cast. He did the casting for parts I needed, for figures I did. And that's how we did a few collaborations. and that was very good. But nowadays, we're not talking that much anymore. The reason I think is there were some differences. I'm not going to go into detail about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good, man. He's just, it's crazy, dude. Like, here we are down the road. How many years ago do you think that was when you guys first started doing something together?
I think that was just before 2018, 2019, something
Oh,
like.
okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, so we're like, what, like 7 years, 6, 7 years into it. But
Yeah.
it's cool to see, to look back at it now and say, holy shit, dude, like, Jevaho and Frankenlander, that's fucking nuts. If someone has one of those pieces, man, and who knows, man, maybe some people who have those pieces don't even really realize what they have at this point in time, but still very cool. Let's talk about this real quick, dude. Well, let me ask you something. So one thing that Crumbs brought up and that I think we always bring up when we bring up your name is like the consistency that you do your drops. It's like, I don't know if you're on like a regular schedule. It sure seems like it. Like there's at least a couple things a week, or maybe at least one thing a week that you're showing, or you're giving away, or you're doing a line for, or doing a pre-order for, something like that. From idea, let's say tomorrow you had an idea and you say, hey, I want to make a fill in the blank. From that point, if it's just one of these ones that you're doing online and saying, hey, this is in my shop, it's ready to go, not a pre-order or anything like that, what's that time frame like for you? Just because it seems like you'd have to be working almost nonstop.
That's my problem. If I start doing, if I take pre-orders for a certain figure,
yeah,
start getting into the routine, let's call it that,
yeah,
to make parts, paint parts, make parts, paint parts, having the time to cure. It's like it's very repetitive, and my brain starts to wander, and I start thinking about new things and new projects. And when I suddenly have something in my head that I want to make, I usually drop everything I'm working on, and I just need to do something that relates to that project. And depending on how easy or how well that went, the time of the project takes longer or takes shorter. It's something like it's something to keep my mind busy while I'm doing routine work. And if I decide, oh, that's a cool character to do, what do I have, what do I need, and what do I need to make? I always try and make something fast and see how that turns out. It sits on my desk. I leave it there while I work on the routine stuff, and it starts to grow. So
yeah.
it could take one day at best. In one day, if I have a lot of parts that are ready to go, just need to be cast, and just need to grab some molds, needs to grab some parts, need to grab some paint. I can do this in one day sometimes. Mostly it takes a few weeks, especially if I want to make a package and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's something that goes in between. It's something that keeps me motivated and keeps me awake while I work on routine stuff.
Yeah, man. And I think that's one thing that really works to your advantage, right? Is using kind of like that 5.5 Mo 2 body style where you can have like, a bunch of arms and then paint them differently. And you're going to get a different character every single time, depending on what you're going to make. But really at the base, right, you have some specific pieces that you can just use and grab and then go from there. I would think that really, as opposed to like sculpting a new figure every single time, or doing whatever. But yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense as far as cranking them out. So the 5.5s are one thing, and then I get this from you just recently, bro. Okay, so what surprised me the most, I guess, about this was that it was this, dude. Like I have never seen you do anything like this before. And then it pops up and I'm just like, fuck, man, that's really good too. Tell me about this one, man.
I follow a lot of artists that do other stuff apart from toy making. I love comics. I love drawing. And somehow I picked up. That's how Instagram works, I guess. If you stare too long at a booby picture, the algorithm starts sending you stuff that mixes up everything in what you've been the hobby and the so somehow I ended up onto a guy's French artist's page who's been doing a lot of let's say you see the art on the a lot of pinup style
Yeah, yeah,
art about
right.
yeah, a lot of characters, a lot of yeah, that's him.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, right, right.
So he does a lot of he does I don't know if he has his own comic books, but he does a lot of yeah, existing characters he does in his own style, and I really love the way he did it. And I
Yeah,
know Velma is one of his favorite characters, and I like Velma as much as the next guy, I think. So I decided to contact him and ask him, would you like to do a collab? Because not everybody is into that, and he was okay with it. He said, yes, I'll make you a drawing. When do you need it? But I still had to start the figure at that point. So I gave him a very long deadline. I started my thing, he did his thing, and somehow it matched up. So he decided to make a nice art piece for it that I could use on the backer. And I made a figure in a style I think he would have liked, and that worked out. So
yeah.
how this came along.
Wow. I didn't know that that was that was art that he did for that, man. That's cool. That's very cool. Um, but yeah, shit, man, what a great artist. But that thing came out great, dude. Are you gonna be doing anything like that, or any other Scooby Doo? I mean, he doesn't really seem like an artist that's just doing Scooby Doo stuff, right? Like he's doing specific figures from lines. Was there any talk of like, maybe hooking up again and doing something?
I think he would be up to it
Yeah,
if I had an idea. So I keep following his page. I don't have any plans now. I don't think I'll do another Scooby Doo figure because I don't think a lot. I don't. There are not a lot of characters in the series that inspire me to do more of. I think it should fit this one, and then before we know it, it starts to become a series, and I don't think
yeah,
that I would like to do.
yeah.
I would like to do something in this style again. I did something fun last year with the Dirty David. I think you also got one of those
Yes, I did get
with
that.
little. There are
Yeah.
no pictures online with that guy. That's the
Dude,
same.
let me just tell you, dude, that thing, it is so well done, dude. Now, tell me, how did you I'll get it here in a second, but how did you do that? Like, is that something that you sculpted yourself?
The David figures are
Yes.
existing PVC figures. They were very popular when I was a kid in the 80s over here. So
Okay.
there's a series, like I think there are 30 or 40 different characters, or not characters, figures in different poses from that character. And I just happened to have two that really fitted together well. So I needed to do a few small adjustments.
That really fit together well. That's a perfect
Yeah.
way to say that.
Yeah. And that's why I don't know why I do these things. I just
But
it,
that's what I thought was funny about it, man, was that it's so different, but
yeah.
still like the quality and stuff is like super, super good. But it's just completely different, man. Like the Toad Rider was different, right? And then the 5.5 stuff, and then the little small minis. It's like everything's so good, and it's just like the scale is all over the place. But here goes these. This is well, he'll tell you all about this here in a second. So that's what's going on there. It's doing some laundry. And then you see that? And there you go. Like you said, it fits together well. So it fits together well. But I mean, look at the paint and everything on that, right? It's just like it's super, super, super good. It almost looks like something, and it feels like something that's right off the shelf. You know what I mean? Like it feels like something that was like highly manufactured, but it's not. So
That's what she said.
yeah, super, super good, man. Really good. Mm. Yeah, there's a one of the guys in the chat is saying the stuff from Brazil. I was just reading that, are paying the taxes and all that stuff. Yeah. So, anyways, dude, so let's talk about the fingerboards, man. What is going on there? We're gonna give one away tonight. But what's the venture there?
Same same thing as with the David. As with the Velma, I'm working on something that's a bit boring. It's a bit repetitive, and my brain starts to wander. And I think that would be something cool to do. And I start researching it. The board started with when my son came back from school, and his little friends, they were all playing with the tech decks, and I had no idea what it was. And he was very enthusiastic about it, so I got him a set. And that's again how the Instagram algorithm works. If you start clicking on some stuff, you do some research, suddenly your feed is full of this stuff. And apparently, I think you guys touched on it in some of the episodes as well. And I got onto Noob Dojo's page, and I saw what OmniRest was doing with Noob Dojo's boards.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, oh, these guys are making these themselves, and they're not made of plastic; they're made of actual wood.
Right.
So I think I reached out to Noob Dojo, and he also has a few videos on his page how he makes them, and there are some molds for it. And we started talking, and he said to me, "You should check out Everyday Fingerboards." This guy uses 2 plastic tech decks, toy tech decks, to make his own mold to make a board with.
This is limited run.
Yeah.
104.
Yes.
But yeah, there it is, man. And they're legit, dude. These are like definitely real wood, super smooth. When I was at Designer Con, actually, God, I want to say I've seen it the last couple of years, man. There's been probably more than one booth where they're making those, and they have the whole little skate park set up, dude. And those booths are always busy. It's not something that I was ever into, but it's just, I don't know. I don't want to say it seems weird that you would make those, because I think you're good at making anything that you put your mind to. Unexpected, I think would probably be a good word for it. But what's the plan with these, man? Is this something that you're going to get into? Like you said, I know exactly how that is, dude. Like you get into one thing, or someone sends you a video or of something and you like it, and next thing you know, you're like, holy shit, that's all you're seeing.
Yeah, and the problem was when those little things landed onto my desk, I noticed how well they scale with 5.5 and even 4.5 figures. If you put a turtle on that, it works. If you put a Master of the Universe figure onto it, it works. So I saw multiple possibilities, because like you said, there's a whole community doing the fingerboarding and building their own skate parks, and actually being very good with those things. I cannot do this for the life of me. I've tried. My son has pushed me to do some fingerboarding, but I'm not there yet. Yeah. But I even used, but because of the scale, I really liked it, and they really fit well with the Master of the Universe figure. I don't have one on hand now, but I did Toy Show, the Vamp 4X. I did for the robotic. She's on my page, but she also comes with a board, and that was the first figure, I think, and the samurai Grumps showed off also has one of these boards attached to his back, because it scales very well, and it's very rewarding to just put this in there as an accessory.
Yeah, straight up, dude. We were talking about 8-Bit Zombie at the beginning of the show, and those Thrasher figures That's the only other one that I know of that comes with a skateboard, but it's not this. You know what I mean? It's like it's a little bit wider and a little bit shorter, I think, because his figures, that Thrasher figure, it's like the 5.5 style, right? But it's definitely not like yours. Yours is the more traditional, like real shit. His is more of like a vinyl sculpt, I would say, in that 5.5 style. I actually think his are a little bit bigger. But anyways, yeah, the skateboard dude is always that's a cool accessory, man. I think that comes from a time where, shit, man. I think we all probably skated at one time or another, you know.
Hmm. Plus, I think it's very collectible, and it's not really that hard to make. I have my press. It's like just the two tech decks. I put onto two pieces of board, and I added some bolts to make sure I can really squeeze it all together.
Yeah.
And I use 5 layers of plywood of veneer wood. Those are glued hard. Those are glued together. Those go into the mold. We just squeeze it, and 12 hours later, this thing comes out. It's very, very crude.
Oh wow.
Then you need to start cutting along the lines, drilling the holes, and the next thing you get this.
Oh man, that's nice. So the mold, though, did you make that mold?
Yeah, because I was talking to New Dojo. He sent me some links, but those molds are like $100 or more, depending on where you want to order it in the world. And I was thinking, $100, that's a lot of money just to try something out. Maybe I can do it cheaper. So I went to the toy store and I grabbed 2 cheap tech deck boards for a few bucks, and had some balls. I had some wood, and the idea came from I saw somebody else doing it, just using 2 plastic tech decks. Let's say these are 2 tech decks. Just squeezing, using it like this, putting some clamps on it, and having it dry. I wanted to do it a little bit more professional, so I got inspired by the sets that are available online, and I made something that does the same thing. It's a bit cruder, but it works as well. Wow. I think. Yeah.
Nice, man. What a great idea to include that as an accessory in some figures, man. That's something I didn't even think about. But you're right. It would be like the scale is there. It's shit. It's damn close, to probably what it would be. Yeah, dude, look at that.
Yeah, there she is. And the cool thing about it is, because of the metal screws that go into the board to attach the wheels.
Yeah.
You just put 2 little magnets in the feet of the figure, and they attach to the board, and you can.
Oh,
so
dude.
She has 2 magnetic feet, so she just she always stands up. She has a figure stand in the shape of a skateboard, so that was another win, because those female figures tend to tip over a little bit easier than the male ones because of the feet size. But
yeah, that's a great idea, man. That's I don't want to say nobody's using magnets anymore, because that's not true, right? But I think you might even agree. I know Crumbs, you'd probably agree too, man. So let's go back to like 4 or 5 years ago, right? And we see somebody who's doing like titty bean. There's like the obvious example, right? Where it was almost specifically magnets every single time. And then he started doing, peg articulation, and then started switching up a little bit, some Goliaths type stuff in there too. But then you start moving away from magnets. I know Hurt Toys, he had kind of moved away from magnets a little bit too, and just kind of been venturing out with some other stuff. Why? Because from what I hear, magnets are a pain in the ass, right? Like once you get it down and there's a routine to it where you get everything together and nothing is battling each other as you're trying to stand it next to each other. But the other interesting thing, I think, is what you just talked about, was magnets in packaging too. I actually have a couple pieces like that from random artists that have like magnets in the bottom of a bubble if they want that figure to stay there, but they don't necessarily want to put like a band around it or anything to hold it in place, so it'll hold it in place. I'm looking across the room right here. There's a Godzilla vs. Lord God piece from Dark Rainbow, and his packaging is square with a window in it. And there's also, those figures are like 3.75, and they're never going to stand up in there without the magnets in the feet. And it's the exact same thing, dude. The magnets in the feet, and then some magnets in the bottom of the packaging that just make them stick there. I think that's a fucking cool ass idea.
Yeah, I've been looking into it because I think it's Trap Toys that also does it with on the. But the only thing that bugs me a little bit is the integrating the magnets into the blister, into the bubble isn't that hard, but how to integrate it into your cart without having magnets on the back or something is something I haven't figured out yet. Because with the Mighty Max set I'm doing as well, I want to be able to make the blister removable, but I won't be able to do it with a slide feature, like I've been doing with the Master of the Universe figures now from time to time. So it's something I'm looking into because it's really interesting to see. To make a package reusable, and the magnets I think may be the solution to that, but I haven't figured it out fully yet.
Yeah, you know what, man? I do have one piece by One Trick Pony, and I probably have to take it apart to see exactly how he did it. Maybe Crumbs even knows, but it's basically it's a very small Skeletor, and it's got magnets. It's basically on like a wood block, but the wood is hollowed out in the back, and he put magnets in the back of that. And I don't know if he carved them out and like sunk the magnets into the wood, but the wood's not super thin, and so the magnets are either super strong, but then you put them in the corners of the blister, and so it works off the magnet, which is it's clean. You know what I mean? I think that could very easily get fucked up really quick, but it's clean, man. It's a cool setup, you know.
Yeah, that's the main problem I have. It's not clean enough. The thing that I've been experimenting with it, but it's not clean enough for me. I don't want to send anything like that out yet. I need to figure it out.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of the cleanliness, dude, your like the packaging. We'll just stick on that for a minute. Is dude, it's so top notch, man. If they're, how much time are you spending on the packaging portion of it? Is that something that comes after the figure's done, or is that something that you're always kind of working on? I would assume like some sizing, consistently would have to go on to make sure that it's still fitting.
Yeah, when I do a run, I always try and take it into the process of when I'm developing the figure. I'm also already thinking about how the package will work. When it's a one-off figure, I mostly it's generic. I sometimes see what's possible, and if it works out, it works out. Otherwise, he will go out without a package. But like the Ganesh and the Hindu figures, I was lucky enough to have the blisters I always use. Were just big enough to make sure the figure fits. And then the only thing I need to concentrate on is the artwork for the card. And I'm very lucky to have a beautiful and fantastic wife who does who does this for me, because I know what I want. I have it in my head, but I can't do Photoshop. I've tried it in the past. It's horrible. I know how to open the program, and I know to do a few of the basic moves, but she's a wizard with it when it's compared to what I do. So I know what I want. I gather the images. I make a mood board so she knows in which direction I want to go, and it's her. She designs it. She doesn't want to take credit for it always. I always ask her to put her name on the package as well in the back, but most of the time, by the time it goes to the printer, I notice her name has gone because she doesn't want to take credit. But I'm going to say it here. She is the one who is doing almost, let's say, 95% of how the package, the card back looks. That's her work. That's
wow.
Yeah,
that's very cool, man. It's great work, dude. I mean, I think the majority of stuff that I have from you is not carded, but the carded stuff, like, yeah, dude, look at that, man. It looks so pro. And you know what, dude? The thickness of the backers that you use, like, I don't know if that's like multiple layers or if it's just like a really thick stock that you use. But it's substantial enough, dude, to where it's not flimsy. It doesn't like specific room that I have the majority of my stuff in. It's like in the front of the house, man. So I get like a lot of sun in the beginning of the day, and then it kind of goes through the back of the house at the end of the day. But in the summertime, man, I've seen it before. I've seen it happen. I've seen pieces like capes curl up. You know, I've seen card backs kind of fold in a little bit. I'm sure everybody has a little bit of that if it's not like super duper temperature controlled. But yours, I've never had a problem with them, man. And I think that's because the quality is so up there, and like you got that nice thick backer. It just has no chance to even twist or anything, man. That's a good question. Are you printing those at home or commercially? Probably at home, right?
No, the printing has done. That's another one of my pet peeves. I used to print them out on a regular home printer, but what you say is when you get a lot of sunlight,
Yeah.
it's discolor very fast or warp. So I was looking at a printer shop who could do perfect lineup, but that was an issue. The front never perfectly lined up with the back. So
Hmm.
the thing I do is I have a local printing service I use, and I print them separate. So the front and the back are printed separate. I purchase my own cardboard, and I glue them together to make sure it lines out perfectly.
Yeah.
Sandwiched, and when it's dried out, and that's the reason why my cardstock is as thick as it is, because of the two prints are on very strong on very thick paper, and I
Hmm.
find any the shop I go to has two types of cardboard: very thin, that makes them too thin, and very thick, that makes them. I think personally, I would love to make my cards just a little bit less thick
Yeah.
than now, but because of the process I do, I print because I use the prints I purchase, and the cardboard I can source locally. They are as thick as they are. I
Yeah.
personally would like to make them a little bit thinner, but I haven't found the right cardboard yet.
Yeah, so it's actually 3 layers for you then. You have the middle and then the two. But that's a good idea, man. That's something that I didn't really consider is if you have a printer at home, you're right. Like on multiple copies, the ink shades and stuff can really vary. And if you do it at home, like who can you blame? Like yourself, right? Like if you get it done at a print shop, you pay to get it done one time and it's consistent and it's probably the same colors, nice and bold every time. And if
Yeah,
it's not, then you ask them to do it again because you've paid for
yeah,
it. So that's a good idea, man. That's something I didn't think about.
yeah. That's something uh, because I used to. It's harder when you do a one-off figure. If you sometimes I get commissioned and someone wants a figure with a fitting backer and everything like that, so you only need to print it once. And that used to be an issue because normally you need to make multiples to get a decent price for the printing shop. But the service I found now is really affordable, even if it's just one print,
Hmm.
because I print it myself, and I know that in a year from now the backer has completely faded. Or I even had issues like you said, sunlight comes into the house, but not it doesn't cover the card completely, so you suddenly get lines into it. Some parts discolor and others do not, and if you
Hmm.
put it in another place in the room, it just looks horrible. It looks horrible. So I don't.
Yeah, man. I feel you on that one, dude. There on the so like I said, this room that I'm in now is kind of towards the front of the house, and there's a nice big window in the front, but I've put like really dark curtains over it to keep as much sunlight out as possible because I've had other reaction figures where they're in a room where it hits the sunlight, and you're right, dude. After time, they fade and they don't look right. They don't stick with the colors. So um, interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
we have plans to do some renovation in our house. I finally get my own man cave to put my toys in, and the first thing I told the architect was, remove the window from the plans, please. And the man did not understand. He thought I was going to do some photography or development of photography. I needed
yeah,
a dog. I said, no, I do not need natural sunlight into this room
yeah,
because of the fact that it's very very aggressive on toys and packaging and stuff like that. So
yeah, dude. That's a good idea. I think if I had a preference to choose, if it was going, that I was going to build a new room or something, I would definitely go no windows. Um,
plus you have an extra wall to put some shit against.
yeah, exactly right. God, wouldn't that be nice? Just a fucking extra wall. God, I need that so bad. But yeah, the funny thing is, dude, as as far as like taking pictures and stuff, if that's your thing, I personally think that I get the best pictures when I have natural light. There's like that kind of golden hour in the morning and in the evening where there's just enough light that peeks through these curtains to where the camera on the phone just adjusts naturally, and it's fucking crazy. But that's taking pictures. That's not sun beating down on the figures, which is always fucked. So
Yeah, I have a spot in my house where I'm under the. It's the attic part, and we have a one window. It's the same. I know. All right, it's 10 to 12. That's the perfect moment to take pictures. If I'm past that, I'll just have to take the pictures the other day because
yeah,
it just don't turn out the way I want them, and
yeah.
then good enough to upload. So I avoid. I just that time frame is essential as well here.
Are you just using your phone to take pictures?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. Same here, man. And I always there's some toy photography accounts that I follow, and it definitely investment. You know what I mean? As far as some of the camera work that these guys do and some of the stuff that they're setting up, and it's just not there for me, man. Like getting that deep in it, at this stage of the game at least, but. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, there's other accounts out there where people you can tell they're just using their phone, but they use a light box or something like that, and they end up getting some really good pictures. But that's just another part of it, right, man? So you got like you got to figure out all the stuff to make the piece, and then you have this kind of marketing thing on the end. Does your wife do anything else besides the backers? Is she helping out in any other way as far as like marketing or anything like that?
No, she's a very good. She can do some the soft goods when I need to.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
jacket. I always prototype it myself, so I make a paper template and do the fitting and mostly make one part myself by hand. I sew it by hand, and then I go to her and I say I need 10 of these, and that's what she does. So she wants me to cut up the fabric, and she does all the sewing and the assembly.
Oh,
So
wow,
something
man, that is nice.
Yeah.
Dude, that's great to just kind of take that part out of your hands. I don't know if you saw our interview with Acid 9 Toys a few weeks ago, but they got a similar thing going on, man. They have a great thing going on as far as teamwork and getting figures done with a bunch of different stuff. Rokomashu, what's up, man? So going back to the boards, besides doing as just an accessory with those, I know that there's like this whole other world of like fingerboards and stuff. Is that anything that interests you? I mean, are you thinking about doing any lines of just the boards? I know there's so many different ones out there, especially like you said, dude, some of the older ones, even that they sold in the store that have like, certain stickers on them or something like that. Some of them I've seen online. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe people pay that much for those things. They're plastic, you know?
Yeah.
But does that interest you at all? Is it, kind of adding that? That seems like a lot, man, to get involved in that as well.
What I've been doing is what I really like about these fingerboards is what I like about skateboards. I've never been really a big skater, but I have a few boards that I've picked up at yard sales or flea markets, stuff like. And when I buy a board, it's just because of the artwork on the back that really inspires me.
Yes.
I have a few boards, and I hope to put them up into my studio sometime soon. But those are very big, so I was thinking maybe I could do some cool artwork on fingerboards and in the same style. So that's something I'm looking into.
Yeah, dude.
Again with people who are wanting to draw something or make an art piece for the back of those boards, and with some like the ones I did for your show. It's like I just forgot the name. Water slide decal.
Oh yeah.
I can print those myself. They aren't very big, and if I install them onto the board and do a decent veneer, they work out very well. So that's something I'm looking into, and maybe as an accessory or as an extra, or maybe as a completely different thing. I don't know yet, but
yeah,
I'm definitely looking into it. Yes.
Tim Barron does. I don't know if you're familiar with Tim Barron. Yeah, dude, like his skate decks are super cool. I know O'Keefe is a big fan of his. So I have a lot of prints from Tim. And then I bought some skate decks too. He has sales every now and then, and they're beautiful, man. I mean, and it goes back to that very kind of 80s style of skateboards, which for me was, Thrasher magazine, and seeing skate decks like that was part of the allure for me, was the artwork. When I was a kid, I always thought they looked so damn cool. But yeah, that's interesting, man. That's it's they're great. I mean, the quality on them is, you saw how you was making them before, but they're super cool, dude. I gotta ask you about the Mike Tysons, dude. Let's talk about those real quick. Holy shit, man, that is a killer figure.
Thank you.
What brought on the Mike Tyson? Just because he's a badass?
Also, and I ran into a figure on a yard sale. A woman gifted it to me. It was an Amigo figure, Amigo style figure. It was the scale was in between Amigo and a Masters of the Universe figure, so the heads were a bit too big. The head was a bit too big to use as it was, so I decided to do a shrink mold, and that worked out pretty good. So I finally got the head to shrink into the size I liked, and yeah, the rest is history. I started these figures right before the Jake Paul fight. I was really, there was a lot of buzz, a lot of about, everybody wanted to see that fight, and I remember staying up at night. They were airing it on Netflix here, and it was like, I think it was like today. It was, for me, it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh wow!
Stayed up. The fight sucked. The picture kept freezing.
Dude, I was gonna say, and don't you wish, right, that you would have just slept? Like that valuable sleep time that you're never gonna get back. What an absolute scam that whole fucking thing was, dude. And I don't know why, and that's the thing about Mike Tyson, right? Like, he was such a badass back in the day. Like, everybody lived for the first round knockout. And I think there's a part of everybody, at least, who is into that, or like seeing that they want to see that one more time, man. And I think that's what really sold that fight, was the fact that, hey, man, this could be it. And if it's going to be against anybody, please let it be against that fucking guy, right? Yeah. And it didn't happen, dude. Like, you could tell right away that it was just like, it's like, oh man, we all got fucking duped again, man. Here we go.
Yeah.
It
was the run up to that fight. There was a lot of excitement about it. We saw him training. He was like,
he's
going to kill that guy.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, man, this guy is old and he's still got it, man. I'm like seeing his training. I'm like, he's still got it.
Yeah.
And then at the interview, he turns around and he like, shows his ass like right before the fight. And I'm just like, what are we doing, dude? He's an old man. What are we doing? Holy shit.
Exactly.
But still, it's was that big over in Belgium? Like, you do remember that?
I think it's big everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember friends I never knew were into. I'm not a very big boxing fan, but this thing I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one. My phone was exploding at the moment. It was 3 o'clock at night, and my phone was exploding because of friends on Facebook, on Instagram, on my Messenger kept posting me. My Netflix keeps freezing up. What the hell is going on with this fight?
Yeah.
People I didn't know would be looking, or at least would get up, because for you guys, I think it was a decent hour. But for us, we really had to wake up in the middle of the fucking night, and I think it was
for that too,
weekend,
dude. Oh my god,
crazy! And everybody was up, and the fight was so staged, and plus, if I would have been able to see some boxing, I would have liked it. But I don't think I've seen 5 minutes of actual footage, because it kept on freezing, loading, error again, loading it again. It was crazy, and I was like, what am I doing here? I've been trying this for over an hour now. It's 3 o'clock at night, and
oh my god,
boxing. I finally saw the a compilation the morning after, and then I suddenly it dawned on me that the fight was completely sold. That's also why the figure came out this late. I was really aiming to get my Tysons done by the end of the fight, hoping to get some of that momentum. But I was so disappointed. I put this project aside and then I picked it up a little bit later.
That's so funny, dude. You were so pissed off. You put the project on hold.
Yeah, I couldn't fathom it. How did this happen? And how did they steal my sleeping time? And why did I pay for Netflix and I never get to see any fights? It was crazy.
And then the Fisto. That's a Fisto arm on there, right?
It's a combination of
with the shoulder piece.
The top arm is a part of I think a mechanic arm, and the lower part is a fist from the Origins line. They did some wrestling crossovers a few years.
Yes, exactly.
And I think it's the Roman Reigns arm.
Gotcha.
Roman Reigns came with one of those fists, and later on they did a Mr. T that came with two of those fists.
Yes.
And I used one of those, and if you just squeeze it together with a vintage arm, with the vintage arm part, it fit perfectly. I made a mold, and yeah, it works perfectly on figures.
Dude, you know what, man? For a while, those were the WWF and Motu combo figures were one of those things, at least out here, where you didn't really see them on the shelf too much. And so when you see them, like, if you were into that at all, you probably want to grab them because they probably won't be there for very long. And it just goes back to that whole thing, man, with like the distribution of Origins and shit like that. That thing was so fucked up, at least on the West Coast. And from what I hear from everybody, it was just so random. It seemed like everybody got like totally different stuff on the shelves at different times. But
they never even made it here. They all the Origins figures came over to Europe, but the wrestlers didn't. I was lucky enough to find a company. Germany is very Master of the Universe minded, so there are a lot of shops who go the extra mile, and that was a toy shop, a local toy shop somewhere in Germany, who was able to somehow get enough supply of those figures, and you could put in a pre-order, but you had to, I think you had to buy the complete wave every time.
Oh, wow.
So that was the only catch. But the prices were fine. So that's the only way how I got my hands on them.
Yeah. Have we seen multi-part cut mold? Don't know. That's a question for you, man.
I think maybe there are some I don't think there are pictures of my molds on my Instagram, but I sometimes put some in my stories when I'm making them.
Gotcha. And, yeah.
I only do the cut molds for head casts. For all other parts, I try to do the 2-part mold. It's a bit more intense to make. It takes a little more time, but in the end, I think they're a little bit more durable. I can get more pulls from a 2-part cast than I do from a cut mold. It's maybe because the type of silicone I use or the methods I use, but I prefer I also hate it when especially at the end of exactly, that's one of my videos where I do first it goes into the vacuum chamber to pull out the remaining air bubbles, and then I always have my molds cured in my pressure pot, because I notice if I don't do so and I do casts that I put into my pressure pot, I get little micro bubbles on the surface because air was forced out good enough. Yeah, so that's my pot. Yeah, exactly. That's
nice.
Yeah, I try to do the 2-part mold as much as I can. If it's for a part, I will only use once or twice. I do the cut mold, and the heads I always do a cut mold. But for all other parts, I prefer the 2-part mold. Yeah.
I know some of the heads that I have on some of them are custom heads that were done by you. Are you sculpting those as well?
Yes. I sometimes I do I go to the 3D route, but that's only if I just don't find another way. because I've had some issues with the. If I prefer the resin prints, of course, to avoid the lines in that a PLA printer does, but in the beginning, I had a lot of issues that the silicone would not cure when it came into contact with the printed part. So I had to really clean it very well, prime it, even seal it before I could make a mold from it. And I don't have a resin printer myself yet, so I always had to outsource it at some cost. And if the print didn't work out the way I wanted, I had to rescale it and redo it. And so I prefer, if I can, I prefer to sculpt it.
Nice.
Mostly using an existing head as a base. I don't think I've done, or maybe the color. I don't think I've done a lot of heads that I've sculpted completely from scratch. I've done a few, but not very much. I'm mostly looking to heads that work well enough so I can just do the modifications.
Yeah.
Or I do the shrink mold technique. So the Rambos, they were an existing head from another toy line I shrunk down. The Tyson is also a head that was a little bit too big. I made a shrunk mold for. So most of the heads, or I sculpt them, or I shrink them. And if none of those techniques work out well enough, I go the 3D route. But that's
Nice.
last resort for me.
Yeah, exactly. One way or the other, it's getting done though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Crumb, did you have a question? You popped in a second ago, man. I didn't know if you had a question there.
Well, for one, I had to interject with that stupid fight thing you guys are talking about, because as much as you guys were talking about how everybody had to watch it, I am so not into sports that a cute human I was talking to was like, yeah, I'm watching the fight tonight. And immediately it was one of those things where it was like, I tucked into bed. I was one of the I'm tucking into bed. But I'm going to sneak it in because otherwise I feel like we're going to forget. And I know they've got one handy and I want to make sure we touch on it. You had mentioned the Mighty Max idea that you had earlier. And I know you've got one handy besides you when we were talking about the backer styles. If you're going to be talking about sculpting and you're going to be talking about ideas and stuff, we got to hear about that one, man. And then I'm going to sneak away again.
Okay. So it's an idea it's again the clutter character I did. As I said, it's from a movie called John the Fearless, and it's a medieval story about a local guy who is fearless, and the main antagonist in the movie is this clutter character, which is a very dark character. As a child, it terrified me, but still. To this day, it's intriguing me. So I made a 5.5 with Frankenlander. We talked about it earlier. I plan on rehashing that idea into a 5.5 soon. I've been saying this for 3 years now. The sculpt is done, but I just need to start making those molds. I haven't done that. And this is something I always wanted to do, my very own Mighty Max. Oh, wait, the figure is falling out. My very own Mighty Max set. So this is the very small clutter figure that comes with it, and this is the play set I've been building. And this is completely hand cast. Hand cast, of course, but hand sculpted as well. This is no 3D printing, nothing at all. I just started with Monster Sculpt. First time I used it, I wanted to test, and the first thing I did was sculpt the front, and I decided that if I can pull this off and I can make a decent mold from it, I can start working on the back and the inside. I have fully documented the whole process, but I haven't released it out yet. I will as soon as the figure is done. I normally suck at those things. I always forget to take pictures, make videos of my progress or my work in progress, but this time I remembered, so I did some footage, and I will put those onto my Instagram soon. But this is the set. This is the first one, the first prototype painted up and ready to go. It closes up with magnets, so no real clicking mechanism, because I couldn't figure that out how to do this. But the thing has 2 magnets up here into the horns, and it snaps together.
Dude, great idea with the magnets. That's another use for magnets, obviously, but instead of that clamp, dude, you know what I mean? At least the ones that I had, Those fucking things always broke, man. They always broke.
Yeah, and because they break easily in plastic, so I think resin will be an even bigger problem. So I just wouldn't risk it. It's an item there went a lot of time into this guy, and to just send it over to people and break at the first contact, that would just be horrible. So,
Yeah, that would suck.
Astounding, man. That thing's gorgeous.
Yeah, very nice. Very
and
nice.
of course, we can't do a Mighty Max set without doing some.
Yeah, so we talked before the show just a little bit, but at one point you had put out so I think it was something in your stories, right? And you were looking for someone who had a backer from one of the originals. Was it for sizing? Is that what you were looking for?
Both, actually, because
Okay.
I needed a high resolution copy of the logo I wanted to reuse, and as you said, because I had no idea what the size of the. I have a lot of Mighty Max sets loose, but I did not have one on card, and they are pretty pricey. So I was hoping a collector could help me out, and they did.
Nice.
I think they even contacted me after you did a shout out on your show, telling to check out my stories. A few moments later, I got somebody in who actually had them and who completely measured it up for me and sent me some high resolution images, on which my girl went to work again with the Photoshop. And the artwork here I did myself. I did by hand. This I decided, because all of those original Mighty Max sets have this really painted type of artwork. I wanted to try that myself, and it turned out decent enough, I think.
Oh, dude, it looks great. Yeah, it looks great.
And then the back is, of course, just an original backer. I made off. So I wanted it to look as legit as possible. Of course, I've added my logo just in case, but I wanted it to look as if it was on the shelves back in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, looks great, man. That looks really, really good. We should probably give some stuff away, man. You want to talk about these? Let's talk about this one, man, just because we haven't talked about it yet. What are Crumbs' favorite figures all time? If you can believe it or not. This is from the GI show a while back. But again, dude, like the quality of this stuff is just like stupid good. And it's like this with every figure that I have from Jevaho, but it really is stuff that feels like it's right off the shelf. But this is Scarlet from GI Joe, and this was a GI show entry recently. So that will be one giveaway. The other giveaway is going to be the fingerboard, and then we're going to dip into 2 of these 5.5 custom heads, which are going to be cool. It's a grab bag, so I don't know what they are. I haven't seen any of them inside yet, but we'll pull 2 of those and see what happens there. So, what was the giveaway question this week? It was, collabs. I thought that last time you were on the show, we had pointed everybody to your page and say, hey, name something that's dope. And I think that when you do that to somebody and they look at your account and they're like, well, shit, how many things did you want me to put, man? I could put like 1, or I could put 700, or like, how many did you want? So I thought that was a little bit old to do that one again. But collabs, what collabs have you done that stand out in your mind, man? Besides this most recent one with the artist that we talked about for the backing work, or is that something that you're even really interested in doing as far as like figure work?
Actually, it was one of my New Year's resolutions to do more, because
nice.
I really haven't done a lot. But oddly, in the answers, I as Crumbs told, I checked a lot of them today because I got the notifications and I liked them and I was reading them. Really, I was hoping to pop in there more, and nobody wanted to do a collab with me. So I think there was one person who actually tagged me who wanted to do a collab with me. With I don't know why, but I would really like to do. So this is an open call for people out there who want to do something. I'm not very picky, but I will only commit to a project if I really want, if I want to do it, if it inspires me. Let's say it like that. But
yeah,
I apart from the ones with Frankenlander, I can't recall a lot of collabs in the past, and the one with the artist I've done. I think no, I haven't done a lot of them. It's really something I would like to look into more. So by all means, slide into my DMs if you want to. If you want to
There you go, man. And you know, and I think that's probably just it right there, man. Is that I don't think that anybody purposely left you off, but I think when we're talking about collabs and they see your work, me personally, if I was an artist, I'd be like, what the fuck am I going to help this guy out with? You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's not even what the collab's about, but just being on the same thing. But it's just, I mean, I personally feel like as just a, you know, kind of a fan and a collector watching from afar, is that, dude, I feel like, you know, at the 5.5 scene, you're really at the top, man. I mean, I know that there's other guys that do really dope work. But maybe there is a bit of hesitation from some people, you know what I mean? Because they see the quality of your work and they know how good it is. It's just like, fuck, man. You know what I mean? But hey, you said open call. Someone wants to do a collab, reach out and do it.
I've even been toying with the idea of doing a toy show or organizing a toy show that has something to do with this. One artist makes a part, sends it over to the other artist finishes it, something like that. Just to make like a bit like a secret Santa system. Everybody who wants to enters. We put all into a pot and we make duos or something like that and see what comes out of that. I think that could be very inspiring and if you mix up unintentionally, you mix up two artists that do completely different things, I think they would really do very cool together.
What I really like about that too, man, is it's got that like finished product. It's got that scraps show feel. You know what I mean? Like that scrap show. And I think for me, that was the biggest turn on about that scrap series was the randomness, you know, that you get at the end. That's another great way to do it right there, man. That's I think you would get some really cool shit doing that. Yeah. All right, dude. So let's do this. I'm going to open up. I'm going to take the staples out of this prototype pack. Now, what's going on with the heads, man? As far as those, are you just making random ones at times just so you have a supply that you can grab from, or are you just kind of doing one at a time?
Yeah, it's more like an overpour thing. I hate wasting resin, so I make sure every time I'm casting, I have a few extra molds, and whenever I have remaining resin, I put them into those head molds because that's an easy way to pour in while you're doing more detailed stuff. And most of the time, from time to time, some cool heads come out of there. Sometimes I use them for projects I need. Other times they go into a bag, and now I have like a box full of heads, only heads. And I was thinking maybe there's a market, maybe people want these. Maybe I can put them online like that. Maybe people are interested in buying 5.5 heads in blind bags because there are, I think the bag I sent you, there are some custom sculpt heads in, but there is even some ordinary He-Man heads in there. It's a mix. It's a mix of actually overpour heads. That's what they are.
Dude, I think that if you do a blind bag style or whatever style that you do, dude, the first one that I pulled, if you're including shit like this, I'm gonna say, yeah, dude, that's definitely gonna work. You know what I mean? Look at that. That is super sick. Holy shit.
That's an oldie.
Yeah, that's actually a 3D print from, and that's just a head from a Remco figure, I think. Warlord.
Very nice.
Warlord figure.
That's awesome. Oh man. What's dude's name from He-Man? Right, that's who this is.
Yeah, right. God damn it.
The sky guy, right?
Yeah, the dude that turns around, the tornado dude.
Yes, exactly. And he's always cheap, right? He's one of the
Yeah.
like vintage figures that you can find
Yeah.
for like super cheap all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's cool, dude. I actually have that figure. Now, was that from a scrap show or from the psychedelic show?
Scrap show. The last one with the open entries. Yeah.
Yeah, that's this guy.
Yeah.
Bam. Look at that one. That one's sick, dude. Look at those pants. Sick. All right. So that was 4. Then here's the last one right here. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Also from a Remco series.
Sweet. So we'll do 2 of those in the fingerboard for somebody, and then the Scarlet GI Joe figure 5.5. So for 2 heads and the fingerboard, Crumbs, how many did we get on there tonight, there, buddy?
35.
35. That's pretty good, man. That one started off a little slow and then kind of picked up some speed there. So 35 people on the wheel for that first one. The board is number 1 of 5, actually, is what that is. Sick. 1 through 35. Where's my phone? $22. Who is that, Crumsy?
Where are we here? Abaddon 40.
22, Abaddon. I think Micah won last week or the week before.
I was gonna say they're on quite the lucky.
Yeah, there you go. Bam. Nice. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Micah won, so perfect. Abaddon, that is for the 2 heads there. I'll contact you about the head. You can just pick whichever ones that you want on there. The next one is for the 5.5 Scarlet GI Joe figure. Ooh, I thought it was number 1. Late entry number 33.
Trentendo.
Trentendo. Right.
Trentendo 64.
Trentendo 64. That's a new one for me. Do you know who Trentendo 64 is? No? Yeah, I don't either. So Trentendo 64, hit us up on Instagram with your address, please, and we will get that thing wrapped up and sent out to you. My man, anything else that you want to get out there before we let you go? Well, I don't. What time is it there for you?
Now it's 4:30
in the morning.
In the morning.
Fuck. on what day?
Friday. We're Friday.
On Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
You in the future, man.
You're in the future. Yes.
Hey, at least look, man, you made it to Friday before anybody else. At least here. That's pretty cool. Anything else you want to get out there, dude, before we let you go?
No, just thank you for the opportunity again, and yeah, that's it. I think. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this,
man.
Now it's not time to praise you guys.
I knew it. I knew that was gonna happen. I knew.
He knew the secret. They were like, they're gonna keep me pegged here until I start talking good, and then that's
yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
But man, that's the second visit from Jevaho, man, and it's he's donated to the show multiple times, man. He's one of my favorite artists out there, dude. His stuff is really, man. I mean, 5.5. I think I can think of, not too many people that are at his level, man. It's just they're few and far between. And it's cool. The fact that his wife was helping out with some of that stuff, dude, was news to me. But I think that's very cool too. Isn't it funny? The more you start asking around, they're like, "Oh, well, I have a little bit of help," and it's like, "Oh, wow, dude, she's actually doing the majority of the soft goods and the artistry for the backers, which are all, really
time consuming."
Time consuming, yeah. But I think there are also areas where his figures really excel. You know what I mean? Like they really kind of set them apart from other 5.5s without soft goods on them, right? Like that makes a big difference.
Fair.
And they're good. They're really good, man. You know,
It really it almost kind of gives it that soul. As silly as that is, you know, it kind of takes it from being a cast to kind of putting that character, that soul, that umph into the piece, man.
Yeah,
110%. And you know, it's really interesting. You showed the Dirty Daves. You had talked about the skeleton riding the toad. I find it's interesting what a vast portfolio they have. We've even talked before about how in this world of resin, we try not to kind of differentiate or put any kind of like one thing above the other. But there's sometimes like knickknacks, and then there's sometimes action figures, and there is a bit of like a divide sometimes in what it takes to make the two even. So it's interesting when you see somebody sometimes who has these just absolutely insane 5.5s painted up in a backer, vacuum formed freaking blister on there, and then also a bagged up black mystery thing of the Dirty Daves or the heads they have there, or so yeah. And yes, absolutely, Dookie and Abaddon. Look at these people actually having manners. Jevaho, thank you, my dude, for the time, the elegant answers, the dude, that fucking Mighty Max set. Every time it closed, I swear to God, I had a little boner pop up or something. It was like Pavlovian. It was like
that really good magnets on there, right? And I'm also even looking over there, dude, at the Jevaho stuff. And there's like, I do have a 3.75 from him from a while ago that's like pristine. There's a faker battle cat basically that's flocked in that blue, which is flawless. The freaking Raekwon on the purple tape.
We could go on forever
One of
about
the
it.
top 3 pieces I own, like across the board. You know what I mean? That thing's amazing. I've had so many people comment on that, and I'm like, bro, I've never seen anything like that before. It's just, that's an incredible piece right there. But yeah, dude, it's even the little minis that he throws in, you look at them and they're great, dude. And a lot of it is overpour stuff, but for whatever reason, man, I think that's what I like about the overpours and shows like Scraps is just kind of the randomness. That's a great idea for a show too, is kind of sending it to each artist. Kind of sort of like making a mutant, but
That's what I was, yeah.
Yeah, but a little bit different too, right? And I think it would come out. I think it would come out really dope, and you would really probably get a feel for a lot of different styles within that figure. You know.
I would have to tend to agree. Hey, an artist actually that they mentioned that I don't think we've ever pulled up before. It was one of the ones they actually mentioned was an early one for them too. You got to see this shit, man. Homeboy's got like, I think it was like 800 followers for some reason. Motu Molder. That was the one. Just
yeah, he mentioned them. Correct.
At the very beginning of the chat tonight, and he had mentioned these Brave Stars, and it's like, oh damn, if this was the dude that got you into making toys, like, I kind of get it.
Yeah, dude, I don't think I'm following this dude.
Very impressive stuff, dude. I hadn't been. I don't think the toy count was either. They mentioned it and just started following tonight after they brought it to our attention.
That's a dope figure right there, man.
Interesting pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Not to slip away from where we're supposed to actually be tonight, but I had to show those off because I hadn't seen them. Didn't think you had seen them.
Yeah. Very cool.
Shit, dude. Quality over quantity. Yeah, exactly, Von Fake. The best accounts are under 1K. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So here's one thing that we didn't get into real quick. I think so I'm going to show a piece, dude. I'm only going to show one tonight, and here's the reason why is because the other day I said I was going to show the Yuckamuck piece, and I'm almost positive that he sent it already because I thought he sent a tracking for it. And stuff for whatever reason, man. We are on opposite coasts. I'm in California. He's in like Maryland or something like that, or Rhode Island, and it's I don't know why I get stuff from him in like 2 days, and it's been a while now, and I don't have it. And here's the reason why. So it had been a while, right? I was expecting some stuff in the mail, and I was just getting zero mail period. And I start doing the tracking on all these packages, and it says that I refused the package and that there was animal interference and all this. I'm like, what the fuck, man? So I call them on the phone, and they're like, well, they're holding it at the post office for you, so you can probably go and get it. So I go down there. Apparently, my neighbor's dog, which I've seen over the years probably 3 times, apparently bit the mailman. And so until they get everything figured out, they are refusing to deliver mail to everybody on my street. So we have to go down to the post office, like it's 1930, and pick up the damn mail. And then on top of that, when they resume mail, it's not going to be to my door anymore. It's going to be to those one of those big mailboxes that has everybody's mail in it. And the problem there is that the spots for the packages are small, and there's plenty of days of the week where I get multiple packages, and so that's going to be fucked. But it's just stupid. So long story short, I think what happened with Yuck's piece is I think they still have that thing on there saying that there's animal interference, where it's not my house, it's the neighbor's house. They probably sent it back. So I don't know, man. I don't know when that'll turn up, or if it'll just get back to him and he'll have to send it again. But I don't know, dude. The whole thing's fucked, and it's, anyways, long story longer, that's why we're just showing the Duke piece tonight, which is great in its own right.
One, that's annoying as
Yeah.
hell. Two,
Yeah, man. I was gonna do a tracking on it, dude, and I just haven't. I just found out about it today. I fully thought that I was gonna be able to pick it up today, and I went there, and it was just a stack of mail, no boxes. I'm like, oh, this is some bullshit, dude.
I don't know what's wrong with me, but my immediate response when you said that was, I'd fucking bite a mailman. I don't know why. You said,
But what's weird, dude? It's like we've had the same mailman for like a while now, and that dog has been here for a while now. Never heard of anything, and then all of a sudden there's this event, and it's like the whole mail system shut down all of a sudden. But I need to get a hold of, dude. I need to get a hold of Ordinary. I need to get a hold of Ed and ask him like what can I do here, man? This is, and at the end of the day, I can't do anything about it. I just got to go get my fucking mail, which is stupid. But one more thing to do.
One more thing to do.
One more thing to do.
Poor B.
No, not really. Check this out, dude. Let's talk about this piece from Rutro right here. I don't know if anybody's been seen, but he's been doing these obscuros online, 3.75. And this one right here, dude, look at that.
That's like banana popsicle yellow.
Oh, dude, it's that 1950s vintage refrigerator with the silver trim even. And that's what it reminds me of, dude. I'm going to actually end up probably posting or putting this one next to, there's that other Droid Foundry and Feral Foundry spaceship alien collab that looks really 1950s. I think this would look really cool right next to it. But dude, this is a fucking fantastic figure, dude. Not only the color, but the detail on the gloves, the boots, the silver, man, just really pops. He's been doing some other ones that look really, really good, and they're selling obviously on Etsy. So check those out once he posts them, man. But just a super, super clean ass figure. Looks really good, dude. God, I love that look, dude. And it's one of those figures that's really cool because, like all the ones that I've seen so far, I'm like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And every single one is like that. And I think it's one of those figures where you could get it in a bunch of different, whatever flavor that you want, dude. It's gonna be a hitter, especially with the that silver trim is just so fucking filthy good, man. Love it. That is from Dookie right there. Rutro Toys, man. Take a look at that. Also, there's a lot of stuff in that store. Lots of one-off figures. Almost everything that he does is a one-off. There's some really cool carded pieces on there. I have several of those. I have a pretty good line of stuff from Duke right now, and it's all very, very nice, man. Highly recommend. Go take a look. The price is right, man. It's when you see stuff like that and it's you're talking $30-35, fucking all day. All day, buddy.
I don't know what it was, but when you mentioned the highly recommend, it reminded me of the fucking Captain Falcon. Show me your moves. I don't know if you ever played Super Smash, but yeah.
I always think of Ferris Bueller. It is so choice if you do
Oh,
have the means. So good. So that's the piece for tonight, man. What do you got? I know that you were working hard on some. I was looking at the account, dude. I saw that you were working on some tabby doos there. And
yeah, sometimes it's just our both accounts get different things, right? So sometimes you see something on your own personal account, and I'm not going to try and pretend that I'm going to remember to find on the Toys account. So I just send it as a message to the Toys account because that way the Toys account will see it in there.
you want to see something funny? If you haven't seen it yet, go in there. I started talking to Healy.
I did. We were both on the account at the same fucking time. I'm seeing the messages pop off. I'm like, oh, that's not really for me. I'm just going to leave that alone. But at the same time, it was kind of comical.
I'm trying to claim something, and I realize I'm on the toy page, and he messages back, huh? And I'm like, what do you mean, huh? Like, I thought there was a post that I'm seeing right now that says DM me. So I'm DMing you. What's up? And then I realize I'm like, fucked it up. Hold up. So, anyways, yeah.
That's just how that goes sometimes, man. That's just how it is. My goodness. But yeah, I did end up getting a couple different tabby doos going on, mainly because there's always stuff going on in the toy scene. I don't know if you saw it. Looks like that Muppet show over at Toy de Jour ended up popping off without a hitch.
Yeah, nice.
All the super terrible toys and freaking who else was in there? Vomiting Droid. Hickman was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at one point, they ended up doing a freaking phone call, video call with the dynamic duo One Trick and Hanno Doom.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and you know what, dude? I think was that at Super Terrible's place where they I saw some pictures, so. They all got together. I want to say maybe Massive Mini Horse was there. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong about that. But yeah, that looked like a good time.
Bastards, eh? No, yeah. But that's kind of what's so beautiful about this shit, man, is a bunch of folks from online being able to get a chance to meet, talk about art. So this is not a toy store. They're doing the pre-orders right now for the resin, the troll salon. There we go. My goodness. And we were even kind of talking originally when this first came out. We weren't entirely sure how they were going to be going about doing the spreading, I suppose, of the pieces. So this is how you basically pre-order your troll and get your blank, and you go from there. And nice. Did you see this lineup drop? I don't know how we missed this,
dude. Yeah, I did see that. That's Kachina, right? Yep, it sure is.
It's Kachina, and admittedly, I think it was on Bootleg Toy Co.'s page that actually this ended up popping up on my feed. But wow. They nailed it, man. Look at this roster: Wonder Goblin, Extra Truck Restral, Donner Don't Care, Dirty Yeti, Torpor Toy, Barely Human, Magitarius, Bootleg Toy Co., False Idols Toys, Strafe 7, and Kachina.
Dude, we know every one of those. We know every one of those, folks. We may have to do a little something for that. We may have to do a quick recap of that one. That's the original figure that Kachina made, I believe, right? The vinyl. Yeah,
I think you're right. This is their personal vinyl toy that they're kind of doing the Extra Truck Restral route, getting a couple people to take a stab at it.
Dude, I love that name too. Anunnaki Overlord. That is dope.
It's fun when you look at a lot of this stuff. It just reminds me of very like the toys, right? Like even look at this body and stuff like that. It's like this is such a fucking like 80s, 90s action figure toy.
Yeah. Especially with the stars in the helmet, dude. Those remind me of the sticky ones that you would put on your wall that glow in the dark.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, those old school. Yeah, right there. Look at that.
Yeah, this guy really fucking pops. Kachina is just astounding, man. The vinyl Wonder Paint is such a game changer for so many folks as well, man.
Yeah.
We could dive down there all night. Of course, I know that Death and Strawberries actually ended up mentioning it as well. But the Oops All Zartans show, May 22nd. So, of course, make sure. I think last call was on this, right? 1 month away, last call to sign up.
Nice.
you haven't
May
yet.
22nd. Wow, dude. So that other one was May 16th. That's May 22nd.
Yeah,
Wow, dude. May is a busy month.
a busy month indeed. And of course, when does it say when
Oh,
these
is
are going
that
to
May?
be happening? I don't think they've dropped when it's airing yet. We'll have to look more into that afterwards.
Mm.
And then, of course, after that, this one's a long way out still, but it's going to be the Showdown Kaiju versus Robots, November 20th. So giant monsters and giant robots face off in an online toy show battle of epic proportions. So, of course, another Cage and Cave.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one, man. I mean, think of all the stuff that can go down there. That's right around
It'll be freaking
yeah.
fun as hell, man. And I was actually stoked to see these, man. Do you remember when Underland Cosmic first popped these guys out like in the little resins?
I don't. I don't.
Fair. So these are actually going to be doing a Safubi run of them now as well.
Oh, those are cool.
It's just always kind of fun to see, just like with we're going to see it in a second here with the bootleg Toyco piece, but it's just kind of interesting to see like over the years when somebody goes from sculpt to resin to then sending it off for the wax sculpt to then having that wax sculpt produced into vinyl. It's just kind of, I don't know, man. It's just kind of exciting to kind of see that growth, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, man. And what artist is that right there?
This is Underland Cosmic Studio.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the work in progress. This I guess would have been the mock-up for the vinyl release. But he had a bunch of resin ones. I'm trying to remember the name of it at this point. These little guys.
Mm. Oh, there goes the pickle goblin up there with
Which is gonna be Weird Kid Club.
yeah, Weird Kid Club. There you go.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is not a toy store. Even these fucking guys are fun.
Was that a Chompton piece next to that one? I think it was.
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Compton's another one that's kind of funny, man, because given like the notoriety, I suppose, or like the quote unquote like famdom of them, every now and then you'll see them like chiming in on stuff. Like they're just one of the dudes as well. I just find that kind of shit always kind of fucking jokes, man.
Yeah. Oh, those are cool.
But yeah, Bootleg Toyco has already gotten a second vinyl in the works as well. So this is already getting ready for the wax up in the, like they said here, the glorious cage mold. The good old electroplated.
That's another good one, man.
Those Abake Calvins, man. There's just something about them, dude. It's an interesting figure with a long lore and history for sure. So it's I'm sure it's some, and maybe that's even something we should maybe ask some of these individuals when they're coming in sometimes is like, how does it feel to kind of now like have like one of yours in a long line of something that there's so many different versions of over time, right? Even Jevaho would have been a great one to ask that about. When you look at, dude, I was looking at some of the commissions they've done, and like they've got a Super Saiyan Goku 4, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right. Real. I just saw these. Yeah.
Rad. Little boner cannons, the Gore War Machine, Skull Tank Penetrator. So yeah, hit them up in the DMs if you're looking at this and you feel like you need one in your life. But they also have been dropping a whole bunch of heat on their page this week. I think they got some Necronoma bongs coming out.
Well, that's cool.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Necronoma bong, was this not done with who's the Brazilian soft vinyl artist? Resin?
Oh, Resina Gem? I don't know.
I thought for some reason at one point, maybe he had done a paint app of some of these, but I thought that had been a collaboration piece at some point. But yeah, Gorgrail all day has just been popping shit up on the page saying DM him. So if you're itching for some heat.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Rainbow Yawn, dude. Did anybody else see the grails that are launching up onto their site tonight?
He's one guy that I was going to mention when we were talking to Jevaho about the Motu Origins pieces popping up kind of all over the world. And he had at that time when they first started to come out, man, he was, Rainbow Yawn was posting these little videos of some toy store out there by his house. And it looked like they had a ton of stuff. I'm like, dude, We can't. We don't even have stores over here that look like that. You know?
Right. Jeez.
Clean the house, huh? Well,
yeah, but
actually, probably not. That's probably a very small slice of what he's got.
yeah, and realistically, it seems like it's a conversion one, right? So they've got some girls they're not super stoked on parting with, but they want to be able to grab a new laptop in order to edit videos on. And let's be real, if you're familiar with Rainbow Yawn, you're well aware that having videos is kind of how they manage to be able to throw together some great reels that garner 4,170 likes. So
Yeah.
I don't blame them for wanting to get a new laptop where they can maybe feel more comfortable and confident throwing together videos like this and stuff for YouTube and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Just a silly. Oh, look at that fucking pic. You imagine that? How much god dang work that is for one human being? Look at that lineup of freaking figures. That's nightmare fuel right there.
I mean, just like the eyes and the eyebrows, dude.
Yeah. Every part of
that would drive me insane. That would drive me insane, dude. I'd fuck up so many times. I'd just be like, I'm good, dude. I'm done.
I'd pull a ghoul of Gabs. Thanks for the money. Fucking no IG account left. No fucking eBay up. Peace.
Oh, man.
Anyways, this was an account that was new to me today, and this actually popped up due to your question on the giveaways. Doom Kit. This was an interesting style, toy, concept, idea. I was intrigued by it in general because we've never really looked at an account like this.
What are those?
I want to say almost like tokens, game pieces. It's like that's what I mean. Like
they look like Candyland pieces or something like that.
Acrylic halves. Like that's almost the best way I can think about it. Is like a sticker cast in acrylic with a 2-piece for. Yeah, I can't quite piece it. I'm not going to sit here and try and bullshit you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, it was definitely one of those things where I was like, I've never really seen an account making pieces like that. I'm intrigued. So that's how we ended up with Doom Kick here this evening.
Ah, cool. Nice.
Otherwise, this one here, Brown Noise. So of course, right off the hop, sick. Ooh. But these caught my eye, man.
Yeah,
there's something about just bugs.
I like that, man.
Right? There's something just really appealing about like the fucking. Is it that they're smooth and shiny? Like,
you know what, dude? For me, it's a couple things. It's the colors for one. Those layouts are really cool. It's got that gloss on it, and it's got that kind of it's that 5.5 style, man. You know what I mean? Which is, I think, it's one of my favorites for just like an action figure. That Mo2 5.5 style, I should say. That's very, it's very similar to that. Look at those colors, dude. That was a sick one.
Yeah, and like they're like they seem like bucks. That's almost the best way I can put it. They seem almost kind of like DIY bucks. But then you look at what they had going on at like their tables here, and it's like, oh, okay.
Oh shit! What is that? What the wait?
So and like this is going back 2020 at this point.
Oh wow!
But again, this was somebody that's in our in the post you made. People wanted to collaborate with.
Zolocon, huh? I wonder. Well,
Flyos?
Yeah, well, we could find out about those really easy. Zolocon's in Philly, and we know, tons of people out there. So that's cool, man. I have not seen that account before. When was their last post?
Well, this one was February.
Oh, okay, so still going.
So it's not as if they're just like not doing things.
Yeah.
Like, what the? Look at all these little pieces, man. Very
Yeah, Fletch says nice and shiny. Yeah, dude, I like that gloss.
damn. Reminds me a little bit of nostalgia. Just with all these different little sections and pieces, and
Yeah,
Dr. Plops coming out with some
those are
pieces.
cool.
Newly printed 3D Master is going to be getting ready to mold up. And we're talking about 3D prints to mold up. You seen these guys, man? Michael Frenetic actually has a couple of these little wood kaijus going right now. He made them bigger. Admittedly, like the original size, I would say was probably 3 fingers. They now sit kind of like in like a full hand. So they're nice little size. And some of the fucking marbles they're getting on them are nice, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, much bigger now. And I kind of like this size a little more.
Oh, shit. Yes.
That's a nice pour.
Yeah,
Damn.
that's very cool.
Canadian boy. Speaking of Canadian, Slime City Toys is actually going to be dropping a Midnight Imp one-off. So they've got that guy in progress.
Did they do a vinyl?
I believe so. Yeah, the Imp. Test pulls are here.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Kind of picking through a couple one-offs. But
yeah. I wonder, I guess we would probably have to ask somebody like that, dude, but how are artists that started off in resin that end up making a vinyl piece, right? There's a list of them, and probably more to come.
Yeah.
In the exclusive vinyl scene, like how well are those accepted?
You know, I think what would end up happening is, one, you're still going to have collectors who, when they see something they're interested in or they like, they're going to grab it, right? But the other side of things, too, is that there's probably enough at this point they can have their own grouping. You're always going to have those people that are trying to chase down, like, the Gargamels, and you're always going to have those people who are trying to chase down, like, the... fuck, man, the list probably goes on. There's going to be vintage ones. There's going to be ones from modern times. But I think at this point, there's probably enough dudes doing Sofubi and vinyl that they can collect each other. They don't have to really rely on. And there was a maker back in the day, and I'm not going to poop on anybody's name, but I remember one of the frustrations they had was they were very much you pay to play, and that their whole thing was, I've put a lot of years worth of money into my Sofubi to earn the right to get my stuff made into Sofubi. And I remember there are certain people that have that weird mentality of kind of just like, hey, dude, you haven't put in like the time and love into Sofubi to be able to get to have a Sofubi. And again, then fine. You guys can exist over here in this corner, and all of us who just want to make Sofubi and enjoy toys will hang out over here. And I think there's enough of a market now that they do fine. You're on mute.
Damn it. That's a good one, though. Slime City, they're a great artist out there from Montreal, as a matter of fact. But cool, they're getting into the vinyl scene.
Yeah. And you know what, man, from what I understand for a lot of these makers, I think Goblin Mob kind of actually crushed it at the very beginning, too. Like, the reason they went vinyl was because it just kind of takes some of that error out of your hands. Rather than sitting there and getting all excited to pour a mold and then the silicone mold not working and being pissed off that maybe you had like 10% of your resin casts not turn out the way you liked. Instead, you get to just step away. You paid for 50 vinyls and you get your 50 vinyls.
Yeah.
Splendid Editions is one that we actually had on not too long ago, and I wanted to take a quick little peek over at their page as well, because they just dropped a couple of these guys recently as like a little DIY they were working on.
Yeah, nice.
But they've always got stuff in their shop, man. So if anybody isn't familiar with Splendid Editions, we actually had them on, I believe it was around, would it have been in 2025 we ended up sneaking them in?
Yes, it was a show that I was not here, and they were on with Death and Strawberries, right?
I believe you're right.
Yeah, yeah,
I can't keep track of anything these days anymore, man.
yeah. That's cool.
And you mentioned actually 8-Bit Zombie tonight. I ended up pulling up their account real quick.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you why. I can't remember what we were discussing.
Dude, that's just there are the vinyl Thrasher figure is like the only.
There it is. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. That's an old one right there. But there's been a bunch of those over the years. I tried to collect them at one point, dude, but they're scarce, man. Like you can find a couple of them online, but they're scarce. But
You have a few though.
Yeah, I have 6 or 7 probably. But there's definitely a lot more than that out there. I'd say there's probably at least a dozen different variations out there. But it's a cool account, man. Saturday Morning Cartoons is a post they consistently do. He gives great stickers, and he always throws in old school cards. There's some of them that he's pulling from right there, like the Gizmo that's on a Gremlin card. But He-Man cards, stickers. Like I said, the shirts do go on sale. They're cheap, what I think relatively cheap for a t-shirt anyways, but they do go on sale, and you can get stuff for $10. He runs 25% off right there, dude. That spring cleaning. If you scroll down a little bit right there, that 8-bits, yeah, dude, all stock. Like that's a consistent thing with him. And if you're just looking to get some cool shirts, man, that's where I got this RoboCop shirt from. But it's cheap, dude. I mean, shit, $10 for a t-shirt. You can't really fucking go wrong with that.
Also, great fucking taste in TV shows, man. The amount of keep on like, oh,
really cool account. Even though he's got almost 50,000 followers, dude, I've talked to that dude multiple times.
Right.
He's super cool. He was doing custom painted Thrashers at one point for a little while, just to try to get. It was when that the Wonder Goblin paint came out, and he wanted to try to test it, and so he was offering Thrash Wars custom painted for like $100, dude. And I could not give him money fast enough. Like, oh fucking A. And it's dope, dude. He did a fucking sick one for me. It's just like the ones we were talking about earlier with Jevaho, where he's holding the skateboard. They're sick, really, really cool. And that's that. Was that it on the tabby doos there, buddy?
It's a wrappy. That's all wrapped up like a nice little present, man. But look at that, 1102 too, as well. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. That was a good one, man. Thanks again to Jevaho. Man, that guy's got a lot of stuff going on, dude. When we talk about people doing multiple things, like holy shit,
That's a page. Again, there's just so much going on, man. Before we even let all these yahoos go, and you guys can all do this as well. You all have the power of being able to fucking scroll. But it's crazy to me. Just one last little scroll through of just all the different stuff. Like this marble guy here, beautiful. The Wu-Tang, like the Sun, like dude, just bang.
Oh my god, dude, that. No.
And okay, like this is ridiculous to me. You think to yourself almost like, okay, yeah, one marbled man. It's like no, not just one guy with the marble. No, full fucking container of the limbs for him, and just paint apps and backers and. Like
there goes that rake one right there, dude.
Just hit it.
Just all, that's one thing that we were talking about before was the fact that he has, dude. I've seen like 7 of those that I own. They're so good, dude. All of them are so good.
Like
that one in the middle, that porpoise, that was a giveaway. He gave that to us for a giveaway. Somebody won that.
Like, and just insane, man. Just insane. And then, like we were saying, minis on top of like the 5.5s on top of.
Yeah. Oh god, that Phantom Star Killer is so sick. But he's got the 5.5 stuff, and it. Where you don't necessarily have to sit down and make a brand new figure unless you're doing a new head or something like that. But you can kind of grab from parts, paint them differently, and you have a different figure. Like the most of the stuff that we're seeing right now, as far as the 5.5 scale, like those arms and legs are all the same, but they have different casts, different makeup, different paint on them. But for the most part, they're the same,
Yeah, and that's where some of the customs get really impressive, in my opinion. And that's where, like, again, there's one of that Super Saiyan 4 where when I just see the flocking, and that's another thing, dude. What is so stupidly sexy about colored flocking? Why is like purple flocking so hot? What like
It's the one I was
what's
telling you about right there. That faker. Uh, up, up, one more right there. Yeah, that's the one I was telling you about. But the battle cat is flocked, and that's exactly what you were just talking about, dude. What is it with the colored flocking? And there it is, colored flocking, and it's
like just a pro, man?
and
Just
not only that, dude. I've heard flocking is just such a bitch to work with. You know,
I couldn't even imagine. I think we've even talked about it before. It again, I don't know. There's something about those crafts you do as a kid with the white Lepage glue and the fucking yarn. That is like a sensory hellscape. I don't know who designed that shit, but the moment you start getting little fluffies on your fingers with the dried glue, oh man, no.
dude, I remember putting Elmer's glue on my fingers and hands as a kid and letting it dry just so you could get that feeling of fucking peeling it back off. You know what I mean? Like it was a layer of skin that you were peeling off, or like a sunburn or something like that, right?
Yeah, but that's because it didn't actually hurt. That does kind of feel good. That is kind of satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might do that right after the show. I might just go over the, why not? That's yeah.
Cool.
Relive the dream.
Well, good show, man. I'll have to check the calendar, man, but I don't know if we have a guest for next week or not. So next week we'll really get into sharing some more pieces if the post office decides to hook me up.
And if we don't have a guest, this is a perfect opportunity to be able to mention we've been talking and kind of tossing it back and forth for about like a month now. We might get into bringing in homies who've been on before and just doing what we do every week anyways. We're not going to make you sit on the spot and tell us about every single thing that you do when you're making your toys and how much you love making them. We're just going to you're going to pretend to be one of us.
Yeah.
One.
Well, just pulling up pieces and just getting reactions on, just kind of what everybody else is doing and collecting or buying or what they're interested in. Because you've seen the comments, and everybody comments on everything almost, so it's, that'd be cool. That's just another way to get people back on the show too, and kind of keep that going.
And for you guys to hear more than just our opinions every week.
Yeah, because who gives a shit about what we say, right? Jevaho, thank you for being on, man. And thank you for the giveaways as well. Everybody tune into that account if you aren't already. I think the majority of people already are. Good for you. That's all I got, dude. You got anything else there, Chief?
I think that's it. Let's let them get out of here, man.
Let's do it.
All right. Night, guys.